marketplace, which I think are kind of helpful. So why don't we just touch on before you jump into what you're doing now? Like where were you originally? Where did you start your sort of working life?
Originally in Coffs Harbour, I
Yeah,
started with my apprenticeship as a bricklayer
yeah,
and did, yeah, 4 years there. So 3 years of apprentice and did another year. And then moved to WA and
yeah,
then started bricklaying over there and then went to carpentry.
yeah.
And
Did you ever have any aspirations to like? I mean, the natural step I think when hearing that is that one day you're going to become a builder.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
that a thought for you or?
yeah, it always has been. My
Yeah,
dad's been in the trade since day dot and he's
yeah, yeah,
always been self-employed, ran his own
yeah,
business, ran his own crew, all that.
yeah. So you were around that from an early age.
Yeah, and his brother was a builder, and
Yeah,
my cousin was he's a builder, and just following them, seeing what they're doing, it
yeah,
definitely keeps you interested in becoming a builder, working in the trade, working around houses, doing not
yeah.
just one trade too, learning several trades,
Well,
which
yeah, I
is
mean, that's the
big
challenge
knowledge.
of being a builder, isn't it? You kind of, I'm not even sure builder is the right term because you're almost
Yeah.
overseeing and managing, however many trades it takes to build a house these days.
Yes, yeah. Like in WA, we were pouring slabs and then we were laying the bricks, and on the second story,
Yeah.
we're putting the floor joist down, and then we'll framing the second story, doing the roof trusses. And this is
Yeah.
all
Wow.
back in the day when WA, all they did is just had full brick homes. So we
Yeah.
were
Right.
doing that,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, you'd have a crew next to you building a stick roof, taking
Yeah.
2 weeks to do that, and you've got the frames up, the roof trusses up, and they're all looking, going, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so WA for a little while and then you decided to move back to New South Wales?
Yeah, well, I met my wife in
Mm.
Japan, and she happened to live in Crescent Head, be from Crescent Head.
Yeah.
So I always was, at about that stage, I was looking to move back. Sort of
Yeah.
had my time over in WA, enjoyed it, loved it, but I was ready to
Yeah.
come back. And so we moved back to Crescent Head, and then
Yeah.
yeah, started the next part of our lives.
Yeah, it's a nice part of the world. So one thing that we had a chat about yesterday on the pre-call was the decision that you made, that kind of fork in the road in terms of, do I take a safe, secure job with a large national building company, which actually sounds pretty good when you're talking about it, like a good
Yeah,
base salary, car, all that kind of good stuff. Or do you join a smaller company with the knowledge that, one day you might actually become an owner of that company? So just what was that process like for you? And, was that an early stage conversation? Is that what kind of drove you to be where you are now? Like how did that come about?
yeah. It was a lot of talking to the wife about it
Yeah.
because she's a nurse, so her life is all wages.
Yeah.
Security in with your wage every week. Where
Yeah.
I've always been, self-employed, you get paid when you work. So for
Yeah, totally.
me, I was always sort of leaning towards the what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
She was more towards the, well, you're getting paid. This is, good money.
Mm.
At that same time, I was actually working at the jail, and I had
Yeah.
a full-time job there. So I had a government job,
Yeah. Good
and
incomes.
which was, safe. We had a
Yeah.
mortgage. We actually had a second house at that stage too.
Yeah.
So it was very nerve-wracking, but we just had
Yeah.
to sit
Yeah.
down and sort of go like, I could go the 80,000, 85,000 a year, be happy in that, but I'm always going to be working for someone. I'm not really
Yeah.
going to get ahead or take the leap, do this. I kind of knew Judd pretty well. I knew his experience and
Yeah.
his knowledge and how smart, he's a very smart fella.
Mm.
And when he sat us down, he sat both of us, we both went over there for dinner, and he just told us his plans
Yeah.
and sort of bit of info about the industry. Because to tell you the truth, I didn't even know what a building inspector was.
Yeah. Right.
Brought houses and that, because I had the knowledge, I just did it and had a look myself, and my dad came and had a look. So we never had to, outsource one. So yeah, and that I just had to we both sat down and just decided, let's take the step.
Yeah, cool. And when you were working through that decision to buy the company that you own now, which is Inside Inspections, like what were you looking at? Were you looking at it financially going, okay, this is how much I should be able to pay myself each, year, let's say, and, this is potentially what I can do with the company. And originally when we first met, like you had real, and you still do, obviously, like real property aspirations as well. And as we know, like if you want to keep borrowing and you want to keep buying properties, you need income to support that from the bank's perspective. Like, were all those things playing on your mind when you were looking at it going, well, should I buy this company or should I not?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
It's much easier to borrow money when you're on a wage. That's
Yeah.
what I found. Like,
Yeah, it
I
totally
was
is.
a casual out of the jail, and I remember going for my first loan, and they
Yeah.
barely looked at anything. It's because I worked for the government. I wasn't even full time.
Yeah.
And then when you're self-employed, you're earning so much more money, and they're just like they're asking you all these details, everything, and it's really difficult. Yeah, it definitely was in the back of my mind about that sort of stuff, and I knew, once you take on being self-employed, you really got to make a certain amount of money. And at the same time, you're going to have quiet times, busy times, and everything.
Yeah.
So I remember, the first time I think we were buying the house that we're in now, and I had to really make sure that I earned a good amount of money for that financial year
Yeah.
to get it across. Where when you're on wages, you know what you're going to earn.
Yeah.
Like on a salary, you know what you're going to earn, you know what you can do, and I guess that's what the bank's like.
Yeah, correct. That's
Trying to
pretty.
get that equity, but now I've got the equity, it makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, correct. So, did you find the whole process a hell of a lot smoother because you had already worked in the business? You knew Judd, obviously. So, there's a level of trust there, which you don't get when you're just looking at an existing business on the market where you don't know the owner, for example. Like, did that give you some comfort around, we won't dive into the details, but obviously, having the finance part of this deal, did that give you some comfort around, like, this is a deal that I want to do. It makes financial sense. I'll put some equity up and I'll buy the business effectively.
Yes, definitely. Like spending 2.5, 3 years with him, talking to him every day. You work,
Yeah.
you're listening in to the phone calls. So you know what he's, at the end of the day, you know exactly what, you can work out what the business is making.
Yeah.
And just how he ran the business and all the contacts he had, his good name with everyone. I knew, like, that gave me confidence as well. Plus, because the last year and a half, 2 years, I was going outside, doing all the site work, talking to agents, talking to people. And so that gave me the comfort that when I took over, they know that they're going to get the same as what they got with Judd.
Yeah. Yeah. Reputation is hugely important, especially in a local area, isn't it?
It's a massive, especially in a small area.
Yeah.
And I knew from there that, if I put a bit of effort in, that I can grow it. There's an opportunity there to grow it as far as I would want to.
Yeah, that's cool. So in terms of the bigger picture planning for you, it's, potentially grow this a little bit. And then where do you see that taking you? Because I know you spoke about, and this is probably one of the benefits of owning a business, is that, you, to a certain degree anyway, you control your time. Like, time in equals, money in effectively. The more you put in, the more money you make. But like, you do get to do things like travel, for example, kind of on your own schedule, so to speak. Sometimes you still need to work, but like overall big picture for you, scale the company up, bring people on board, try and step back from the day-to-day. Like, what's the thinking?
Yeah, so the first year of running the business, I always knew the first year is going to have to be just on my own, work hard, get my name out there. It's going to be long days, long nights, early mornings. And then after a year, I got to the stage where I was getting enough houses per week that I could actually look at bringing someone on board, which I have now.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want to just grab anyone too. I wanted to grab someone, you can trust, who, has a bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Who is keen, and just like what Judd did for me, where he gave me that opportunity, if you stick with it, this is what you could possibly buy one day. I've sort of given this guy the same sort of idea that maybe he could buy into the business. See how it goes, and he's been killing it, and it's made my life so much easier. Just being able to go out on site now, because I'm making the money, I've done that hard work. I can go overseas. Like I just went to Japan and I just did the reports over there. So I'd wake up early, do a couple of reports, send a few emails off, and then he was back here booking jobs, talking to agents, talking to clients. He just had the phone the whole time.
Yeah.
And I haven't
That's
been able to do that for well over a year. So
Yeah, that's such a key part of it, isn't it? Like for anyone in business, is like, first of all, one, I'm a firm believer in that there's no such thing as a business that can be run under management. You're always going to need to do something as an owner.
yeah,
And then secondly, that, if you want to scale it up, you do need to bring people on board. You need to train them, you need to invest them, and at a certain point, when you start to make good money from a business, it's kind of like, well, it becomes less about the money and more about how much time do I need to invest in this? Can I put good systems in so I can bring people on board and really scale it up and make something great here?
yeah, no, definitely. And getting the right people around you.
Yeah, really hard. So has that been the challenge for you for the first year or two, or you feel like you've been pretty lucky in that regard?
Yeah, I always thought like I'm not going to really go looking for someone. I feel like if I'm going looking for someone, I don't know, you then start getting in your head like I need this, and just choose anyone. Where I just sort of sat back and just thought someone will come along.
Yeah.
And then, I just talk to people. Because when you explain what you do, everyone thinks they can do it. Every chippy thinks they can do this. But they don't actually see the work that goes behind the scenes, the phone calls for 20 minutes, talking about a report, all that.
Yeah.
So it was finding someone with it's not just being good at what they do, but having the right people skills, which is
It is very, very massive. So just to give the listeners a bit of an overview of what you do, your company's in site inspections. And if I can just generalize it for you, because I've used your services, extremely happy when I can't remember if it was selling or buying. Obviously it was buying because they wouldn't be on the sell side.
Yeah.
But you guys do effectively building and pest inspections for, I guess mainly the people that are building a house or buying a property there. Very thorough in that regard. And one of the things that I always see with that is that, one, you've got to have the equipment to be able to do the actual testing, whether that's moisture testing or whatever it may be. And secondly, you've got to have a good understanding of the BCC and Australian standards, which are not easy to get your head around.
No, it's not. It's always changing. So you're constantly Googling, looking up things. It changes without even knowing. So,
yeah.
And if you don't stay on top of it, it can get out of control quite quickly. And you don't want to say one thing and then, they go research it and it's
not correct. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to new builds.
Yeah.
And safety. I find safety is the biggest thing. You want to be all over that.
Yeah.
You don't want people to buy a house and something's been built that's not to code and can cause serious harms, especially decks, verandas, and second story windows.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Is that more of a compliance thing, or is it more looking at structural safety or
compliance, safety, and structural? Because when it comes to structural, I find a lot of people don't go through council with decks and that. So you got to make sure that, a handyman, or they thought, they've been on a site once before, they might be able to build a deck. Make sure that it's actually fixed to the house. Because you hear it on the news, the deck's collapsing.
Yeah.
They have a party and all that. So if we're not on top of that, someone buys a house, has a welcome to my new house party, and...
Yeah, totally. Check out our new deck. That's
they're going to come asking me the question.
That our chippy knocked up for us. Yeah, I mean, structural engineers probably don't get the kudos that they should behind the scenes, but it's like, there's math goes into all this to make sure that when 10 people step on this 20 square meter deck, that it's not going to collapse.
Yeah, they might have built it, the people before, just thinking, it's just me and my wife.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be that strong, and then
Yeah. So a couple of things that always seem to come up when I'm chatting to people when, they're either buying a business or they own a business themselves is one, exit strategy. And I think it sounds like you probably got that covered off in terms of, you're young. If you bring people on board and they potentially do what you did with a previous owner, then that makes sense as well. So you can scale it up. You can sort of remove yourself from the day to day per se, but still have an ownership, still have a good income, all that kind of stuff. But do you also think about, just getting back to your property stuff, do you think about, one thing that almost gets pushed to the side a lot when you're self-employed is super. Do you think about super and property and all that kind of long-term stuff, or is it just you're just busy day to day in the business?
Yeah, no, super's always one. I never thought much about super until I started working out of the jail for those years, and everyone out there is just, it's all about your super, your super. Where, when you're self-employed as a tradie, like my dad, he's never put a cent into super.
Seen that
And
plenty of times. Yeah.
everything's just all about just houses.
Yeah.
And which is the way I've sort of gone.
Mm.
I'm pretty blessed with getting the houses that I've got.
You've done extremely well.
Like very well.
For
Like with Crescent Head House, I got that before everything boomed
yeah.
and all that. But then you got the other issues. I've got two kids, and you're looking at the market now. It's going to be a bit scary for them as they get older and have to look at buying their first home.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, yeah, it is difficult. Like at the moment, I super,
Mm.
but it's all in the houses, and it is a difficult one. We talk about it all the time, me and my wife. It's,
Yeah.
do you keep the money now? You're only young once. Do we keep on going on holidays and,
Yeah.
our kids are young ones? Or do we actually sit down and start planning for the future and putting money to the side? Is it for the super? Is it for our kids?
Yeah, I think you got to balance both is my thoughts on that. And,
Yeah.
in terms of retirement, if you want to, whatever that means, like retirement is a function of income. It's not a function of age. Retire whenever you want, but to retire, you need cash flow. And, you may have a different thought to this than me, but property itself doesn't give you any sort of meaningful cash flow, not like a business does.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think anyone could retire unless they've got a stack of property and very, very little debt against it. It's like, well, you need income flow to be able to do that. And a general rule is like, if, really the top of that chain is your own business
Yeah, yeah.
because the sky's the limit.
That's it. And yeah, I was always brought up with you won't get ahead unless you're your own boss, really.
Yeah, correct.
And running your own business and that. And like, to be honest, 5-10 years ago, before I started this, I didn't think I'd ever run a business. My teachers didn't think I'd ever run one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'd be very shocked. But it shows anyone can do it. I dropped out in year 10, started a bricklaying TAFE course, probably the easiest one. My dad did it, so I thought I'd do it.
Yeah.
And then just stuck out to it. Just did different jobs, came up, gave it a crack, and just take it.
Yeah, you make your own luck in this world, I feel. Like looking back on it now, how do you feel about buying the business and owning the business?
It's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, for our family life.
Yeah.
For everything, it's the best decision I've ever made. I've got a 6-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and I get to drop both kids off to school every morning. I pick up both kids pretty well every afternoon.
Yeah.
My wife can still go nursing.
Yeah.
If she didn't have to, she probably wouldn't have to work, but she can still go there at 7 a.m. and not have to think about dropping kids off, picking them up. She's not, you see so many parents early in the morning stressing just to get to work and drop their kids off, and that's how they're starting their day.
Yeah, so, correct.
Yeah, and if I want to go on a holiday, I can go on a holiday. If I want to take a break, or or if I want to put my head down, bum up, and really push and make some money, I can do that.
Yeah.
So it's all up to me at the end of the day.
Yeah. You know what? You can never go back as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's
the thing. It'd be so hard to go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost become unemployable because you're just like, far out. I can't have someone, clock watching and going, hey, it's 1 minute past 9. You're late.
Oh, I remember when I first started the jail and I wanted to take a week off, and someone said to me, oh, you actually have to put in leave. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I just won't get paid. I just want a week off. They're like, and they can say no. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Casual. How does that work?
Yeah. I want to go on holiday. You can't say no. It's my right, isn't it?
That's
Yeah,
insane.
I don't think I'll ever be able to go back. So this will be me, I think, until, yeah, like you say, I can build it up and hopefully one day just have some income coming in and being able to step back and employing people to take on all the everyday pressure as a business.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a very, very solid foundation. You guys are obviously very, very good at what you do. And that's half the battle. Like once you're good and you've got a good flow of customers coming through and you're well known in the area, then you can start to scale up from there and bring on the right people.
Yeah, that's it. And like I said earlier, like everyone thinks, they can do this job, but to get to where it is now, it's taken from Judd 10 years before selling it
Yeah.
to me, and then me now into it for 2.5 years.
Yep.
And yeah, and it's, everyone's got different skills. I've always said, like, Judd's knowledge of building is, way more than mine, but he's always there a phone call away too. That's the other thing. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky that I can still call him if
Yeah.
needed.
And that,
And I've got other skills, like, I think I've got really good people skills.
yeah.
So, and that's massive in this business.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess that's one of the benefits of having you know, an existing business rather than starting something yourself from scratch. Like
Yes.
you probably would have burnt twice as much money as what it's cost you to acquire it to
Yeah.
get it up to where it is now, plus the time and effort involved to do so,
Yeah,
which
definitely. Would have taken
just helps you leapfrog it.
years to, you know, for, even when it comes down to solicitors and everything, like, to walk around and get your name in with solicitors, it's not as easy as giving them your card,
Yeah.
but, and they're probably about 40% of my work I get from solicitors.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it mainly existing property purchases?
Yeah, a lot of times, or the ones have just always just used inside inspections, and yeah, it's either them and then agents is always that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah, yeah, because everything's
Agents
time
happy,
precious. Yeah,
but also not letting you've got a standard, and that's
yeah,
a standard.
yeah,
Agents would love you to walk in there with a blindfold and not see anything,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you just got to stick to it. And even in the days when they, start using someone else because you're picking up too much stuff, they always come back around because they realise it's not worth the headache.
Yeah, totally. People want quality work, don't they? At the end of the day, it's the customer that's paying you for a good quality report rather than
That's
the
it.
agent.
That's it. And most of the time, like, these people are spending their life savings, so they deserve to know, what costs are going to come up later on with
The
their
ins and
house.
outs. Yep. Yeah, one little thing in the report that you did for the property that we ended up buying was very, very helpful with getting the owner to. I mean, it wasn't a costly thing, but he ended up part of the negotiations was he would address that, which they did,
Yeah.
and then we exchanged, and everything was perfectly fine from there. So, but I think from having an expert look over one of the biggest purchases anyone's really going to make in their lifetime is a bit of peace of mind there to make sure that what you're getting is reasonable for its age and condition, etc.
Yeah, it's always find it funny. People, if you buy a new car, buying a second-hand car, you'll take it to a mechanic, no question about it. Go have a look at it. Make sure it's not a lemon. But when it
Yeah.
comes to us, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend, that money to make, does it really need it? But even these new homes, like, you find things in new homes that could just cost you so much money down the track.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's only a small amount of money for what it could cost you.
100%. Yeah, yeah. And like with a new home, really, the only leverage you've got is paying the invoice. Like once you've paid that invoice, yes, there's a 6 or 7 year warranty, whatever it is, but
Yeah,
you've still got to enforce that.
that's it, and that's a headache in itself. And those
Yeah.
big companies usually, they've got enough money that it can end up costing you more than actually getting it fixed.
Yeah, cool. Man, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you. That was a really good overview. I'm stoked to see your success in business. You guys are doing amazing. In the show notes, I'll put a link to your website. There's still loads of people here that be watching this or listening to this that are from the mid-north coast. So make sure that you go and check Insight Inspections out. And thanks, Ben. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Cool.